We are live. Hi, everybody. Very good morning to you from Germany. My name is Mike, and I have my co host here, as always, Mike, as well. And today we are going to be talking about a very important topic. And we also have a special guest here with us, Paul from ScoreInn, that we're going to be talking about how you can become a pro footballer in Germany, especially if you are currently based in Africa. I encourage you to sit back, relax, and yeah, if you have friends who have been thinking about becoming professional footballers in Germany or other parts of Europe, I think this would be a very important topic for them to be a part of. For those who may have been watching my content, I am the co-founder of Setlinn, a partner also with ScoreInn, which I am also co-founding with Paul. So before we proceed, I'll let my co-host briefly introduce himself, and then Paul will also go on, and then we dive into the topic for today very quickly.
Yeah, thank you so much, Michael. I've been the co-host from representing the African population here in Nigeria, Kaduna State to be precise. It's a pleasure to have Paul join us today, and I can't wait to kickstart this conversation.
Yeah, thanks, Michael. So Paul, maybe just a brief intro from you, and then we will get into the topic for today.
Yeah, good morning. It's a pleasure for me to join you today. My name is Paul. I know Mike, like the Mike who lives in Germany since a couple of years, and as he knows me as a football coach here in Berlin, in Germany, since 10 years, I'm working as a football coach in the youth departments of several clubs, of one bigger club here mainly, and I'm a lawyer as well. So Mike was reaching out to me like about 2 years ago now, confronting me with the requests he received for information how to become a professional footballer in Germany. So that's where we started to work together at that time to analyze the situation on the one hand abroad for African footballers in Africa who have the dream to come over to Europe and start a career here, but also with already settled African players in Europe, specifically in Germany, to first of all understand where the hurdles are, to analyze their problems to take the path to become a footballer, and also to assist them with the network we are having here, or I'm having here, as being very well settled in the football community. And that's how we started ScoreInn, making more and more experiences in that sector to help specifically African footballers to find a club and start their career.
Well, that's very nice, Paul. And now I was discussing with Michael. We were talking backstage before coming on live. The African population is very ripe with talent. I can say the entire streets of Africa are littered with football players, football talent. Based on record, the greatest export of footballers to Europe is Europe with about 56%. The rest is shared between South America and Africa. And inside Africa, first on the we have over 11 billion dollars is the market value for South American players that are playing in Europe and other parts of the world. And for Africa, is over $6 billion. So it's a huge industry on its own. And I wanted to know, when you look at it again, in terms of the export, the preferred countries where these players are found, mostly is France, Belgium. Belgium, I think, rates very high there. France, England, Czech, and all that. But Germany is not so. It's not on the list of the top destinations for Africa talents. What could be the hurdles? Because even if you look at the African players playing in the German league today, they are not so much like when you look at maybe the Belgian league, the EPL, Italy, Italian league, Serie A, and even the Spanish league. What could be? I mean,
Oh, I think we've got to look at that from different angles. On the one hand, it's not about the football skills that, like, African footballers wouldn't be that welcomed in Germany. That's definitely not it. But I would say that's more about the political background of the relationship between African countries and European countries. Like, as you can most probably assume that the UK and Nigeria have a common history, which
oh yeah,
allows like easier access to migration to the UK than compared to the at least former migration law in Germany, which was pretty difficult to come over to Germany as long as you haven't been already been equipped with a professional contract from a club here. Like once a German club provides you a professional or offers you a professional contract where you earn enough to get a visa here as a footballer, then that's easy. But on the other hand, it was always pretty difficult for plenty for decades to come to Germany as an African because, yeah, let's say the political situation or the political relationship between Germany and African countries does not have that historical background as in
Mhm.
the UK, specifically for Nigeria and those countries, and in France and Belgium, as you mentioned, with Cameroon and all the Francophile uh, countries in Africa, where you get a historical background with Belgium and France. So that might be one major reason for it. And secondly, it's that German clubs compared to other countries, like that's where I would go specifically to Eastern European countries, have more hurdles to migrate to Germany as a footballer than to, for example, Eastern European countries. In Germany, you need like reasons for a visa. You need an educational visa, a study visa, a work visa, and this is most of the times not possible as a footballer, as like a semi-professional footballer. You really need a professional contract to get your visa. And in those other countries, it's sometimes easier that clubs invite you for a contract or give you a contract, and then the government or the political system allows you to receive a visa because yeah, the hurdles are not that high. You don't need a health insurance in those countries. You don't need to have financial warranties. Those countries don't request that. Germany is pretty strict on saying we only allow migration once you fulfill certain criteria from from your financial background. But
Yeah.
as Mike will have explained you most probably in other podcasts, those uh, those hurdles or those restrictions for visas are getting like they are softening it because Germany needs migration because we've got an old population here. We need young experts from other countries. So those criteria are softening in a way, and that's why it's changing a bit.
Yeah. 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 And
makes a
maybe
lot of
just to
sense.
add,
Wow.
maybe just to add to that, I think this is, yeah, something that people don't see at the surface, but it's good that you started with that question, because when you compare to other countries, you see lots of Africans playing on their soil, but in Germany, it's a bit more tight. I made a post recently where I said that yes, Germany needs African players. So it's not even want or desire, it's a necessity, but they will not compromise on the process. So it's just a question of, okay, how can you understand the system and go through the process? It's simply a process, and that's what we are doing at Scoring, and that's also part of what we are doing at Setlinn. As we will learn soon, Setlinn and Scoring are strategic partners. The main aim of Setlinn is to help people move abroad seamlessly. The biggest challenge is the information, because people simply rely on what they see online or other people tell them. But the truth is, the experience of every person is always individual. Why? Because your profile is different from the profile of the other person. And then there's also the system, and not to mention the person working on your case. So whereas on one hand, Setlinn gives you access to the information, to the people, and also the community where you can exchange. ScoreInn, on the other hand, now prepares you. So the question always is, how can you come to Germany in a way that would give you the right information firsthand, but you also have a plan B? We will go into that in more detail, but I just wanted to emphasize the point that it's a process and it's not a mystery. Yeah.
No, like Paul said, he just made sure that skill is not enough. The process must be followed.
100%. Yeah. So
Yeah,
there's no room for
maybe
compromise. Please go on, Paul.
yeah, maybe I can add to that that there is no shortcut to become a professional footballer here. Like it's really hard to investigate into that. I mean, if you look at like the most popular players, like a national team or a national team players from Nigeria, how they made their path or their career in Europe, you will find certain patterns. For example, that they have been playing in the U17, U19 teams of their countries, that they already became quite famous for their skills in through those federation appearances when they played for their federations. But it's just not happening from German clubs, or German clubs don't invite young footballers for only football reasons. There's also FIFA regulations who don't even allow that. Um, there are a lot of restrictions, and you have to fulfill certain criteria. FIFA is also that's FIFA legislation to say you cannot just tempt young players to come over to Europe without like a proper plan for their future. So coming back to compare that to other countries, I assume it's easier for Nigerians, for example, to get invited from their families in the UK for whatever tourist visa, and then to take the opportunity to have a tryout with the club there and convince the club, and then the process starts. Um, but that's still one other opportunity for young players to get an invitation and come as a tourist, and then show their skills abroad. But there's no shortcut like saying, okay, I am a very talented player playing in a club in Nigeria of the age of 18, 19, and then a German club would say, okay, I invite you to come over here to make tryouts, and then if that will be interesting, to give you a contract. That's not interesting for German clubs. They want to have some sort of security for the visa. They want to know, okay, with what kind of visa are you coming here? That then after your visa issues and your kind of your registration here is secure, then we can start to work with you and deal with you and see whether we can help you. But there ain't no shortcut to say there's an invitation from a club and now I can fly over to Germany. That's not happening like that.
Yeah, yeah. That's the crazy part that people don't get, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah, go.
or you've got like you already have a name and you've got a lot of video footage from appearances in the Federation U17, U19, and you get recommendations from the Federation's coaches or staff that can make it different once you're one of those super talents. And I guess the federations, they still look out. I heard like in a lot of African countries, there's also some sort of corruption to get access to the U17, U19 teams. But still, it's just the only way. Like, let's focus on one club. Bayern Munich in Germany would be interested in you for their own academy to say, we want to have a Nigerian player for our U17 team. Then there needs to be like a history of appearances and goals and scoring for the federation teams, and you might receive an invitation. But that's the 0.01% of players who get that invitation.
Yeah, yeah. Mm. Before we continue, Mark, I would like to hear from you. What um, what have you heard, and what? How do you understand it from from guys back home that want to become professional footballers in Germany? What's their imagination? How do they imagine the process to be? I want us to go from like what they imagine as the process and how it actually is.
Well, Michael, I think the greatest setback back at home is information, because a lot of persons think that they are looking for one a man, one uncle who will come and carry them to Europe to play football. They
Yeah,
don't know all the other pathways, all the other options through which they can personally travel to Europe and become professional footballers. They don't
yeah,
even know about the place of the likes of Paul, who also football scouts and doing this thing. So the greatest information over reliance on some persons who will come and help them, not
yeah,
knowing that yes they can help themselves, because and most time it ends up a case of what we call modern slavery in the non-governmental sector, whereby you are promised, you do the promise of I'm taking you to social club, and then you go to Europe, and then you see yourself maybe ending up in a farm or do some other work. So and that
yeah,
has been so like Paul rightly said, when I mentioned the numbers that already have left, he said, well, that may not be professional footballers, you might just
yeah,
be playing football, but not at a professional level, and then which does not put the right value to your talent.
of
So,
course.
if I may say, this is just a situation from back at home. Most of them end up either utilized or not even playing the football at the end, or if they are playing contract issues, we've seen talent wasted from the other 17, very talented with contract issues with their clubs and poor management agents, poor managers, and all of these issues. So they just end up making bad transfer decisions and all this. So it's all about information. If I may just say, information is an issue. Yeah.
Mm, mm. I mean, you're right. We've experienced this, Paul and I. We had our first scouting session in Berlin this year. It was in February. But before that, when we launched last year, we've already been in contact with lots of African players. Most of them did not come to Germany directly. Most of them came through Ukraine or other Eastern Europe. You'd be surprised about their experiences when they were telling us. The current situation in Ukraine, which started back in 2022, made it somehow that they found themselves in Germany. However, the actual promise was through agencies that helped them get to Ukraine. Some also even went as students to Ukraine and stuff in other Eastern Europe. Um, but then you find out that, yeah, sadly, today it's like starting from scratch again. And not to forget that there's age also there, there is age and you're getting older and you've not even gone far in what you actually plan to do. So, and you just find out that it's again this information gap or people just probably not wanting to do things the right way or not having the patience to learn it. I genuinely believe that it's not rocket science. It's just about planning early, and that's why we are different at scoring because, first and foremost, scoring will not charge you as a player a dime for anything. And that's the first thing you need to understand. So when you see someone promising you heaven and earth without any concrete plan, and on top of that, already charging you fees, then you really should ask yourself, what is this going to be about? Um, then the next step is yes, your plan A is football, but what is plan B? You know, there needs to always be a plan B for yourself because it makes it easier for everyone who is working with you to know that, okay, your life is not 100% dependent on them because people should be considerate. Football may work out, it may not work out, but what else can you do when football does not work out? And that's again another place where we come in as well. Um, so for us, it's especially when it comes to playing in Germany, know that before anything, your immigration or your legal status is very important. If you would come on a trial visa or on a trial, yeah, invitation, the question is what happens after that trial? First, you have to be extremely good before you even get a chance for a trial. And after that, it does not, there is no guarantee that you're going to stay back after the trial. So let's assume you made it to the trial, someone invited you. Not to mention now that even getting a visa, it's actually really complex because getting a visa to come to Germany on a trial, even though a club invited you, it's no guarantee that the embassy in your home country will give you that visa. No, they will still do their due diligence, and that's their job, that's their space. They have the right to grant you or deny you. So that is already the first challenge when you are thinking the trial path. Let's say you get that, visa, if it happens. I know many players, they've contacted me, denied their trial visa to Germany. Yes, the club writes it, gives to you. The club could actually push in some cases, but you have to be extremely good for the club to do that. And then how many players are that good? And not to mention the competition. I'm coming to my point shortly. Let's say you get that trial and then you arrive. There's no guarantee you're going to stay back after that. You have to also, there are other people coming too for the same trials. So what happens if you're not taking? Then you have to go back and start all over. And then if you're taking, there is also then the cultural background and everything. Paul and I have experienced many African players here in Germany find they manage to start playing for some, say, lower division clubs, but also there are lots of challenges there. So I think for me, what I just want to say here is it's actually much deeper and complex than people understand. And it's not all about how you can play or how good you are. It's a business, it's a whole different world. And you just have to
Skill is
understand
not enough.
the basics. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe just to add that from the sportive point of view, I don't know, like even in the German population or in the German population who is interested in football, it's not that well known. Like even though like you've got players playing for German academies as from the age of 9 or 10, they start
Yeah.
or they make a career in the whole system like from the age of 10 or 12, and they're playing for the academies of first division clubs. So that's the most promising pathway in Germany or in Europe anyways. So you're playing and playing, and from all those players who then also possibly play for the U15, U17, U19 of our federations, it's a 1 to 5% who makes it to become a professional footballer. I mean, that's the biggest talents in our 80 million population here. And that's the elite. Like we've got, I guess, 8 to 10 million active footballers in Germany. And now we're talking about the elite of the youngsters playing. And it's still just a 1 to 5% who get a professional contract in the end of the day. So that's already difficult. And even though you've got a lot of talent in Africa, and like let's say we could discuss that for hours, what sort of different talent you've got compared to Europe, looking at the football skills, only from the football skills, that's different. But the education here in the academies is focusing on certain skills and tactical and strategical playing, and they have a
Mhm.
focus on that. And this is what you most probably don't know that much about in Nigeria, or you don't get that education, and it's not that intense
Yeah.
as, like, let's say a 12-year-old kid starts to play with Bayern Munich Academy, and until he's 19, he played 7 years with Bayern Munich, training every day twice. And that's very skillful, but then
Yeah.
um, you still don't make it to become a professional footballer. And then you cannot really expect that you come over here with the age of 19, you have never been playing and training with an European academy. And that's what we see. Like, there's a lot of skills, there's a lot of possibilities, and a lot of promising talent, but still you see that they haven't been going through the European academies. That's what you can see when they make simple exercises. You see the skills, but oh, what we understand is the basics of how you perform an exercise, even with very skilled players, is not there. You've got to start with the basics in a way to you need time to adapt to the European football. Everybody knows, like even professional players who come from, let's say, Southern America, Brazilian players, that's very common.
Mhm.
They move over to Europe and suddenly they understand, oh, I need 1-2 years to adapt to the system here. And that's what you can also see on the lower levels. Like you've got talented players, but to perform on a German pitch with the German way of playing, like pretty intense and aggressively sometimes and very physical, uh, they struggle with that, even though you're very skillful. But then there's a German farmer coming and running over you. It looks different. Like, and that's what we understood as well. I mean, you've still got to be realistic and understand that even here, the most talented players, a very low percentage makes it to become
Yeah.
professional, and
Yeah.
that realism isn't existing here with young kids. They don't understand that. We always have to re-inform them. It's the dream, but have your backup plan. You cannot
Mhm.
only focus on that.
No.
And the same for African footballers. This is a dream and the lowest possibility that you really make it. So you need to have plan B anyways.
Hmm. Yep. Maybe Paul, we could just touch on the process because the title of the conversation today is how to become a pro footballer in Germany. Paul, can you, from your experience over a decade now, both from migration as a lawyer and also as a coach, plus the interactions you've been having with African players here and how you understand the German football system, can you just explain to us how to become a pro footballer in Germany for African players?
Okay. I mean, let's say what defines African player. That's where
Okay,
we
for
can
players in
start. I mean,
Africa,
if
maybe.
yeah, let's say, I mean, from my experience, I got to know a lot of African like citizens, young players who still have like an African passport from somewhere,
Yep.
who started their career here as their parents moved over to Europe for professional reasons, not to become a footballer, but their parents are here. And there, the pathway is pretty clear. You get to find a club, a youth club, and then start over here as any German kid, let's say, yeah, or any European kid, perform and see that you, yeah, use your opportunities. And
Mm-hmm.
that's still where I would say for there's you got to differentiate in between U19 players and players above 19. Once you reach to Germany anyway as a U19 player, it's far easier for you to find access to interesting clubs because the academies, the U teams, they don't need to provide you with a professional contract and to get
Okay.
easy access. Let's say, however, you would arrive to Germany as a U19 player,
Yep.
you've got better opportunities to be seen by
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
scouts and interesting clubs. So then, as for adult players or players above 19, um, I would say the plan B, as you provide with information with in Setlinn, is at least for Germany and our experience, the way to become a professional player here. You get to, as we said before, a plan B is the most important for every footballer to
Yep.
understand what can I do in case it doesn't work. And that plan B is for Germany like a new opportunity you can use because yeah, the German policy has changed. Now you've got like a lot of more possibilities to come to Germany
Mm-hmm.
through educational visa. We've
Yep.
got a lot of we need people in certain professions in nursing and a lot of other professions. So the German policy has changed.
Yep.
And if Setlinn provides you with enough information, you will understand that there's ways to come over to Germany with
Yep.
educational or work visa or study visa.
Mm-hmm.
And this is, in my opinion, the way because you cover up both. You cover up your plan B you need anyways. You shouldn't see that as an like a alibi to come to Germany and become a professional. You should focus on that. I've got the chance to build a professional career in Germany, which means in Europe. Once you've got a visa for Germany, you can move around in Europe anyway and
Yeah.
work in different countries, play football in different countries. So a German visa residence permit is already pretty amazing. And
Mhm.
then from there on, once you arrived here, you can start to contact ScoreInn, and
Yeah.
ScoreInn can provide you with further information. We've
Yeah.
got difficulties we are working on to evaluate the skills of players. I mean, that's where we start, build up a CV and provide an agent like us with enough information to help you, and most possibly best would be with video material and like
Yeah.
proper communication to understand where are you, where you want to go to, and get
Yeah.
in touch with us to find to help you find a club which is still like, once you're not well known here, you haven't ever been playing for a European club in a European league,
Yeah.
it's difficult to get invitation for tryouts from
Yeah.
certain clubs. So you've got to start on a lower level, let's say on a non-professional level with a non-professional club, to show your skills. And once you start with and it can be very quick once you start with a non-professional club to showcase your skills and get scouted from professional or semi-professional clubs, where we want to be the one assisting you to start your career from the bottom here.
Yeah.
And then it might, if the talent is enough, we can assist to have the right contacts and be at the right space at the right time to be seen by the interesting scouts.
Yeah.
So that's, in a way, I would describe very well organized and meaningful and sustainable way to
Yeah.
follow that dream.
Yeah.
Everything like a shortcut is most probably not covering plan B s- uh, options and ending in desillusions and yeah,
Aspirations too.
desperation.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess, guys, I mean, you can hear it sounds like a long process, but that's that's the case for everything in life. There are steps, you know, you're X years old today. That was not how old you were before. And if you compare between your previous years and now, you've seen so many steps you've achieved in life. Um, the long and short story here is starting in time and just planning yourself and always thinking about the backup plan. I think this is the most important message here. Um, what we are offering is, in our best and sincere opinion, um, what comes to you with zero risk, literally zero risk. And that is if you want to face the reality of things. Why? Because you are starting first with a plan B before the plan A. And the plan B is for you, literally. It's for you. Same as the plan A. And don't, I think what I just would like to say is try to face the truth. How old are you right now? And then what are the chances for you to get to that level that you want to become at your age? And be very realistic with yourself and your current situation. Um, for us at Scoring, we believe that everything must not happen on the pitch. You can become uh, a professional within the football domain on the pitch or off the pitch. And the earlier you begin to realize where you belong, the better for you. And you can only know this if you are truthful to yourself and you follow the right process. So think plan B as a solid backup plan, and then plan A becomes easier to achieve. And that, for me, that's our strategy here at Scoring. Um,
Michael, if I may come in,
Please go on.
talking about the plan. You know, when I was talking, I said most people go with the entire hope fix on football, earning from their club that they are playing for, and all of that without a plan B. And this
Yeah.
is why your agent or whoever is connecting you with this helping your profession matters a lot. I mentioned about managers and agents earlier on who don't really provide these players or those with these talents all this very frank and truthful information. They want to make it look good. All
Yeah.
right, I want to tell them what they want to hear, not what they should hear. And so,
Hmm.
and I think that this is where I'm so proud of what ScoreInn and yourself, this partnership is doing, because you tell these people everything that is obtainable. Man, it's not guaranteed, it's competitive, the space is tight, but not worry, we will try to secure it from this side while we also look at the prospect of getting you through this. And I think that's lovely.
Yeah. What people don't
Yeah,
understand is, yeah, okay, just shortly, Paul, there are lots of African players in Germany, in Europe already. So many of them, you know.
Yeah.
And not to mention Germans also, and then Europeans. Bro, it's deep. Please, Paul.
And the South Americans too.
anywhere in the world. Yeah. I mean, and that's where we can look at that globally and understand that once you want to migrate to play football in Europe, for every non-European and also for African, that means to leave your home country to migrate to another country with everything that's including. I mean, you cannot look at that like saying, I will hop over to Europe and play football there and live on my life, but just as a footballer. No, you will live in far away from your home country, far away from where you are, where your family is, where your cultural background is, and you will migrate. I mean, Mike knows what that means to arrive somewhere else, and that's when you once you're aware that even though you might become a professional footballer, you will become, let's say, you will become a migrant. You will leave your home country and live somewhere else in that world.
Yeah.
And from that point of view, first you've got to be clear: do I want to do that? Not just because I want to become a professional and I want to become famous and rich, but do I want to live somewhere else? And once you decide for yourself, yes, I can imagine to do so, then that plan B and everything surrounding it, like uh, applying for visa, getting in touch with all that formalities. You've got to go through a lot of formalities. Plus, for Germany, you've got to get used to the idea that you get to study German and learn German a bit. But all those things, once you understand, I want to migrate, I want to leave, I would be ready to leave, and I would have to do that to become a professional, then you should secondly understand, okay, if I migrate anyway, then I should see that migration as something which should become a success story anyways,
Hmm.
football or not. But I'm ready to move away from my country, so I'm settling that in on different levels, and not just to become a footballer, because you cannot split that,
Yeah. Yeah.
let's
Yeah.
say, migration and playing football in Europe.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hmm. Because there's the migration first before the football.
Yeah,
Yeah, you have to think migration before football, not football before migration.
Nope.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think if there's one thing anyone watching this should learn is understand that to become a professional footballer or a professional in anything at all in another country, you first have to emigrate before you begin to do that. And um, the rules for the immigration or migration would always apply, you know. So you can't jump one step before the other step. So it's migration first before you play football. So always think about that. And when you migrate, so that means this is where you're going to be living for probably quite a long time, if not all your life, depends as the case might be. So it just makes sense that you first think in that direction and settle everything that there is to settle there before the football itself. And I think what we're offering here is how you can go about that process and just realizing that it always applies to you as an individual. And that's also why we created the scoring CV builder. If you haven't seen that before, you can find it on the scoring website, or you can go directly to hub.scorein.com. I put the text here, you can see it rolling, and start there to build your profile. it would interest you just to know that some people who claim to be playing football, they don't even they cannot imagine what their profile looks like. So this is the first step to help you even see for yourself, what have I done, where have I been. um, the CV builder will help you put in the necessary information which clubs in Germany want to see, and we also have a simple analysis there to show what kind of support you will get from ScoreInn. um, so we put it in two pathways. Those people who meet certain requirements, they are going to go through the professional support pathway, which means once you fill that and submit it, ScoreInn will get in touch with you directly because you meet certain requirements. Otherwise, if you don't meet certain requirements, then there's also the pathway for you, which is the development pathway. Again, in both cases, we will be working with you. So check out the ScoreInn free CV builder. Build a CV for yourself. People come with different types of CV, looking really different, but always missing key information. And this is what we've taken the time to do for you, and it's free of charge. You create the CV, it's going to connect you to Setlinn, because Setlinn is where you should start your plan B steps, where you should start your migration journey. Again, it's migration before the football, because that's how you get here. So yeah. So, Michael, any final stuff from you so that we can start rounding up slowly? You're muted.
Yeah. Well, I was just saying it's been an eye opener for me. I've learned a lot from Paul today. At least, if nothing, two key points. One, start early.
Yeah.
Two, if you must start late, be super talented. Be super talented.
Yeah.
Then three, have a plan B. Have a plan B. Don't just do the football and that's what ScoreInn does for you. So if you want to have a career in professional footballing, start it very early. And then he has already mentioned the migration pathways, and he's already said that the space is tight and competitive, which is why you must have a plan B. Then lastly, you just mentioned it again, skill is not enough, and migration comes before football. With all these basic things and with further support, you go to the website of ScoreInn, and Setlinn is there to help you with the migration. So what else? It's been a wonderful time. Thank you so much, Michael.
Thank you.
What a great summary.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Yeah. Just to add to those people who are already in Europe watching this, if you're in Germany, we are going to have our scouting event in Berlin in October. Again, this is where we actually get into practice. We bring coaches together, people from different clubs to come and see the African talent already existing in Germany. We will have another session where we focus on that, what's going to happen. But this is just an announcement for anyone watching right now or later, that if you have some families or friends who are already in Germany and can find their way to Berlin, then they should sign up for our upcoming scouting event, which is going to be next month in October in Berlin. Further details you will find both on Setlinn and also on the ScoreInn website. So check them out. And our social media handles, of course. Yeah. Good. Paul, any final words from you so we can wrap the session up for this morning? It's been really wonderful having you here.
Yeah, I'm glad that I had the chance to join you today or this morning, and greetings to Nigeria and overseas.
All right. Thank you so much, guys. To everyone watching us across the different media platform, we're grateful that you tuned in and you stayed all through. And also for those who left comment across Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn, we will check all of them out and get back to you. Um, Becoming a pro footballer in Germany for yourself or someone that you know, it's not a mystery. It's simply a process. Understand the process, and that's all you need. So I wish everyone a nice Saturday and weekend. Have some rest, and see you around again soon. Cheers, everybody.
Bye, ciao.
Ciao, everybody.